Hey, scientists. I got some questions in class about how to find evidence to answer part 3. So I just wanted to film a quick instructional video to kind of go over what this section is asking and how to use the evidence provided to answer this question. So the first thing is let's talk about the question. So it's asking, what is the likelihood of finding a complete fossil specimen? And so what this is referring to is the odds of a scientist finding a whole, complete, perfect fossil, okay? There's a scene in the movie, which I've linked in our project, but I'll also tell you what to look up on YouTube if you'd like. And what happens is the camera goes in and it scans this whole group of scientists. And the scientists are, doing their thing. They're digging up the fossil. They've got their tools. And then the camera zooms out and the fossil is perfect, right? Everything's there. You can quickly identify what it is. It's in pristine condition. And so the question here is asking you to apply what we've learned about how a fossil is made, right, to answer this question. Okay, so, is it easy to make a fossil? Do fossils always get, when they're created, are they always preserved and intact? And how likely, right, is it for a fossil to be made and to be found? Okay, so these are the things we're going to think about. So what I want to show you is the resources available if we go to slide 3. So we'll go over here to part 3 because that's the question we're focusing on. And the first resource is your digital notebook from last week. Okay. Here I've linked this scene to the movie. And then lastly, the simulation on Discovery Ed, no bones about it. So let's go into our notebook. And what I would recommend you checking out is slide number 7, because on slide number 7, you read a passage about how fossils are made. And I want you to read this passage again, and I want you to think critically, okay, about how this plays out in the real world, how we know that nature isn't clean and pristine and perfect, right? So let me show you an example. It says, fossils only form under certain conditions. First, the organism must become buried before it breaks down. This means that the burial must happen before or shortly after the animal dies. So let's just pause there and think about that. Do you think that happens every time an animal dies? They are quickly buried shortly or after they die? I don't think so, right? Nature's kind of a messy place. Sometimes there are storms, sometimes there are fires, right? The example I shared with several students in classes that I live on the river where there are jackrabbits and coyotes. I bet you that as soon as a rabbit dies, it is not being quickly covered in sediment or soil. No, it's going to get eaten by those coyotes. Okay? So nature isn't always neat. However, in order for this fossil to be made, these steps have to be followed exactly. So that's one source of evidence that you can use, is using this text and applying it to what would actually happen in nature, or what are the odds, right, of this happening. Okay? The other thing that you can use is you can check out the simulation on slide number 9, I believe. So for this simulation, no bones about it, you had to make a fossil, right? Your second piece of evidence can be you describing your experience. Was it easy making a fossil? Was it hard? What conditions were important in making your fossil? Okay? Odds are you didn't make a fossil the first time. It had to be just right. You had to have the right kind of organism, the right amount of water, the right amount of pressure. Okay? So it's really tricky to make a fossil. And basically, what I'm asking you to do is tell me, why is it tricky to make a fossil? And why is it, a little unlikely for them to have just found this perfect fossil specimen in the movie? And that's that. Okay, my friends? I hope this was helpful. Best of luck. Don't forget, next week we'll be doing some peer review. So your project is due Friday, but next week we're going to do peer review where your classmates will have an opportunity to look at what you've created what you've argued and help offer some criticism and some feedback. And you can take those edits and add them to your project. Best of luck, my friends. You got this.